Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to technically day one of the Badass Fit Society Sneak Peek Week, and also the start of the Build Your Self-Care Fanny Pack Challenge. Gotta say that slow or else I don't say it correctly, all right? Hopefully you guys are ready to get started and to learn new things and to start to establish a better relationship with yourself, with your body, to learn what it's like to take extra time for yourself. And I love that we're starting on Monday because I feel like Mondays are the perfect days for fresh starts and new beginnings. And what better way to do that than with a killer workout and starting with this self-care challenge, okay? So these videos are going to be twofold. We're doing the Badass Fit Society Sneak Peek Week, and I want this video at the beginning just to kind of share about what we're going to be talking about in the Badass Fit Society and just to touch base on how the workouts are going. And then the second half is going to be about the Build Your Self-Care Fanny Pack Challenge, okay? So first things first, Badass Fit Society Sneak Peek ladies. How are we doing? Today is going to be the first day. You're doing your workout. You got an email about the self-care activity, which is building this fanny pack. If you choose not to participate in the challenge this week, just because maybe you want to focus on workouts, I completely understand that. You do have the option to access the challenge via Dropbox and just kind of do that on your own when you've got your own time. Building your self-care fanny pack is something we do in the Badass Fit Society for a couple of reasons, okay? Having a self-care practice in place is so important for your mental, physical, spiritual health, okay? A lot of us, raise your hand if you ever have felt guilty for taking time for yourself. If you've ever felt like, I don't have time for myself because there's so many other things that either I should be doing that maybe I feel like need my time and attention more than taking care of myself, okay? I don't know about you, I really struggled with self-care when I started on this healthy living journey, okay? I really struggled to take time for myself. I like to do things, I like to be busy. I'm a type A, so making time for rest or even making time to take care of me instead of something else or someone else was really difficult. And I learned the hard way with my body just kind of like rebelling that I have to have time for myself almost every single day. And if I don't feel great, but also I can't give myself fully to someone else, okay? So if I'm dragging, if my cup is not full, I'm not gonna be able to give something to somebody else, give my best self to someone else, excuse me. Before we kind of dive into what you're doing today, I want to just share a quick little story. So I am a Rachel Hollis fangirl. I absolutely love her. And I heard recently on her podcast, and I think it was part of the keynote speech that she did at Rise last year, which was in the documentary that she had just shown here a couple weeks ago, where she talked about this story of how women should imagine themselves as a glass vase. Okay, so imagine yourself as a glass vase. Imagine that into you is being poured all of these wonderful, amazing things. So love, kindness, all of these different things that we need to be the best version of ourselves, okay? So all of this stuff is being poured into your vase. And oftentimes as women, we like to sprinkle that, kind of pour that stuff that's being poured into us into other people, okay? So that vase that's here sitting, actually, you know what? I got a vase, okay? So imagine all this good stuff being poured in, and then we are pouring out as more stuff is being poured into the vase. So this business is happening, okay? And when you tip a glass vase, eventually it's gonna break, right? And all that stuff is just gonna kind of fall out, and you are gonna be broken, okay? What would be the difference is what the difference would be like is if we are this glass vase here, Titan wants to get in on this, we're the glass vase, and we're letting all this goodness be poured into us. And then soon our vase is going to fill up and overflow out to everything and everyone else. Right. And I loved it, the imagery and how that was kind of described, because that makes sense. Okay. If you can pour into yourself, all of that goodness is going to pour out. Okay. That's why having the self-care fanny pack is so important. The idea behind this is that I used to call it a self-care tool belt, and nothing wrong with that, but I'm a huge fan of the 80s, and so why not call it a fanny pack, right? So the whole thing is you're basically thinking through different self-care activities you can have available to you in any season of life that you can kind of pick through, right? So eventually you're going to get so good at this self-care thing, you're going to know exactly what you need in whatever season of life you're in, whatever day it is. But if you're somebody like me who really struggled with figuring out how I could take care of myself, I needed some different ideas. And so you're making this kind of metaphorical fanny pack of sorts that has all of your self-care activities in it. And so you can say, oh my gosh, it's a Friday. I know I'm supposed to take time for myself. I want to take time for myself, but I'm not sure what to do. Let me look at my fanny pack and pick out an activity, right? Pretty cool. So this is what you are doing today. Okay, I'm going to kind of walk you through it, give you some examples. All right. First up, you're taking the self-care assessment. If you follow the link in the worksheet, you'll be able to access it. But it comes from the Intuitive Eating book, and I think it's a really good representation of all different areas in which we need self-care. So you're going to take that assessment. Okay. So on the first page, these are kind of more positive things. You're going to check all the things that apply to you. On the back, there are disruptors, and you're going to check all of those things as well. Okay, so first step is taking the assessment. Step number 2 is you're going to get 2 different colors. All right, so actually I did this for myself, and I'm going to kind of go through mine. So I got a green for the more positive. These are my strengths when it comes to self-care. And then I use red for things that I want to work on, and those are the disruptors. Okay, so you're going to take 2 colors. One, you're going to circle all the check boxes on the first page. These are strengths. These are things that you are doing well. And it's not to say that you don't need to work on these things. This is to say, okay, I'm doing really well in these areas here, which is awesome. You're going to write those down because we like to celebrate small victories and small wins. You're going to write those down. You're going to take your other color and you're going to go to the back and you're going to circle any check marks you had on the back page and you're going to write those down. These are areas that need a little bit more time and attention and care. And these are kind of where you're going to start. Okay. So you took the assessment 1, you circled with 2 different colors. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 is to pick a statement from each column that you actively would like to work on. Okay. And I've got my instructions here up, so I'm telling you correctly. You would actively like to work on, and you're going to begin brainstorming different ways that you can work on that specific thing. And you're going to write down 3 to 5 things for each category. So, for example, in my physical column, the one thing I checked was I multitask when I eat. Okay? I'm all about intuitive eating. I know that I should get rid of distractions when it comes to eating food, and I should really just enjoy the eating experience and enjoy my food. I know that, but I'm a multitasker, okay? So 3 to 5 things that I can actively work on this week would be when I am eating, putting my phone in the other room. Additionally, eating in a room where there's no TV, no electronic devices that I could look at. So at dinner time, Chris and I will usually eat on our bed in front of the TV, watching a TV show. Now, I don't have to do that for every single meal. So actively making sure that I am sitting in a space where there are no electronic distractions. Okay. Number 2 would be savoring every bite that I eat. Okay, that's part of intuitive eating, part of the steps and kind of the process. So when I'm eating, I can actively think, okay, what am I tasting? Why does this taste good? Why did I choose this meal? And actually savoring every bite. Okay, the third thing that I can do, because I like action steps and I like to be able to say, you know, the frequency of which I'm going to do whatever, I can say that all of my breakfasts for the rest of the week, which means what day? Tuesday through Friday, I am going to eat in my kitchen on the stool. I'm going to have my coffee with me. My electronic devices are going to be gone. And that's how I'm going to focus on just what I'm eating. Okay, so those are 3 kind of action steps. Next one. In my emotional, psychological, I feel guilty if I'm not productive or doing something important. Who else feels like that? Right? So maybe 3 to 5 ways that I can work on this would be to journal every day. Or journal, first of all, just journal why I feel guilty when I'm not productive or doing something important. right? Because there's a reason why. Like there's a deeper reason why than just because, oh man, I feel like I should be. Okay, there's a reason why. So get to the bottom of that. Number 2 would be to plan in some kind of play, some kind of fun something every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if it's just for 5 minutes. So maybe I'll say, okay, at 7 p.m., I am going to spend 30 minutes practicing my hip hop dance. Okay. Number 3, the third thing I could do, let's kind of think, I'm making this up on the fly. I haven't planned this out yet. The third thing I could do would just be to, at the end of my day, let's say that at the end of my day, I'm going to write down the tasks that I accomplished for the day. And I'm going to say why it was important that I accomplish those, how I feel for accomplishing those. And then I'm going to say, okay, I did that. Now here's what I want to do tomorrow. And then I put that away. I go do my fun thing. It'll probably be before 7 p.m. Let's be real. But then do my fun thing. Okay. 3 different options there. Let's do one more. So in my boundaries section, it says, I tend to take on too much. Type A overachiever likes to take on too much. So 3 to 5 things. 1, acknowledge that I take on too much. Acknowledge, be real, own the fact that I do that. Okay. Number 2, take inventory of what is currently taking up my time, making me feel like I have too much to do. Okay. This is great because it's actually something that I'm doing with my business coach, is looking for different time wasters. Okay. So if I tend to take on too much, I'm going to do an inventory of everything that I do in a day, everything that I do in a week. I'm going to look for things that I can cut out of my days and out of my weeks. Okay. Look for those things. So for example, the blog is something that I've had for a long time that I really do enjoy, but I have felt like it is taking up a little bit too much time, that it's maybe, I just need to take a break from it. Okay. So that's one thing that I'm cutting back on every week. That gives me more time in my week to do other things. So those are some examples. Okay. So you are going to do that on your own. You're going to look at those disruptors. You're going to write down some things. If you can't think of 3 to 5 for the ones that you pick, that's okay. Just try to get as many as possible. Okay. And that is all you're going to do for today. All you're going to do for today. We're going to take those 3 to 5 things for each category into tomorrow, and we're going to break it down even further. So don't feel like you're going to have to work on, 5 categories times 15 to whatever self-care activities this week. Okay. We're going to break this down even further. I just want you to start to get to thinking. I want you to start thinking through different things that you could potentially do. Okay. And hopefully you noticed in there, as I was going through mine, there are some self-care activities. So journaling every week, or every day, doing the hip hop class, making sure that I'm kind of away from distractions and focusing on my food when I'm eating. Okay. So kind of look for those things as well. Like as I'm writing these down, can I pull from the things that I wrote down to create some kind of activity or kind of something measurable. Okay. So that's all you're doing for today. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments. If you're struggling at all, let me know. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you a tool that can help you if you are struggling. And we're going to go on to day number 2. So some additional steps from what you created today. All right. I will talk to you ladies later. Have a wonderful day.